I've already digested and has no longer use of.
Okay, video. Full
So
wide.
it's nasty worm.
Trying to sanitize it a little bit.
Did you? Sorry, I didn't hear. Did you want full wide?
Or just this, yeah, I just pull back to this, whatever clears the meso camera.
Can we zoom on yellow?
Yeah, a quick one, I'm falling behind here.
Sure.
Alright,
Go ahead, video.
Coming in.
switching master position source to USBL.
Just wanted to double check. This is, yeah, one we've already sampled. I just wanted to make sure it was the same or similar yellow plexaurid. Good to know.
Did you get a sample of this one earlier on this dive or in another?
Yeah, on this dive,
Cool.
we got a smaller, very, very small branch of a colony.
And we got a,
Oh, there's a fishy.
So far, that's the only yellow coral we've seen, but we'll be able to identify it further when we get it back on the deck.
this is a really interesting sort of overhang. And fish just went and hid in there.
Another precious coral.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that getting
Oh,
better.
there's a,
That they're going to
Go,
be.
Kevin.
I got 3 corals now. Oh,
There's a
that
lot.
was-
Ooh.
look at that, that's a mushroom coral.
Oh.
Do you
Big one.
think there's enough
ooh,
corals in this area to be worth eDNA?
We still have 7
Oh
of them.
yeah. Yeah, we still have. Can take up to 2 more.
Fish.
Plus a background, so one
Yep.
more. One more eDNA.
Well,
This little
we've
party.
only taken 1 eDNA so far, right?
Yeah.
So we can take
Need
up
a-
to 4 per dive, one of which
Okay.
needs to be the background.
So we have 2. Good.
Yeah.
2 biology. Let's go up a little bit more because I have a feeling that there's going to be some more overhangs, and there's lots of coral density around these overhangs as we get higher up.
sure.
And we're
But
looking
this is
at,
kind of the yeah,
are these the mushroom
kind of
corals?
density we're looking for.
Do a partial zoom there.
Coming in.
How old are these mushroom corals? Do they get continually bigger as they get older, or is this how much food they get?
Yeah, I don't know about aging of mushroom corals. They may not be like the other larger branching coral colonies we normally see. I'm not sure if these also have a type of asexual reproduction. Possible. But yeah, there's probably a mixture there of Anthomastus and maybe other species, but at least Anthomastus.
Okay, wide.
Things are gradually getting more and more dense as we're getting shallower because typically densities decrease with increasing depth in the deep sea. Densities of all animals, wherever they live, usually in the sediments, even attached. So this is promising that the shallower we get, the more we'll see.
And here we go.
Seeing some more fishes too.
Yeah. Is that a fish towards the bottom of the screen? That little black
Yeah.
movement?
Yeah, it looks like one.
I'm pretty stretched out here. I'm gonna have to catch up.
Bridge nav. One more step, please.
That's long.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been really long in this area. See another stalked crinoid to the left there and some more coral. So we pass across it. Looks like another stalked crinoid in the bottom. And again, to our viewers at home, if you want to get a sort of zoomed out view of the area that we're in, you can check out the
What are these
Argus
things?
cam.
All laid down.
Oh, cool.
Nice little course. Oh, nice long one.
Oh, yeah.
You're certainly getting more density.
Al, I heard there was a question about permits that.
Yes. Yeah, you're
Hello,
back in the
I
seat
am
there.
back.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we had some viewers wondering why we are not allowed to take more rocks, especially if we're taking small ones.
It's a good question. So we're in a Marine National Monument. So it is a protected area. So we have to, and it's considered sensitive habitat. So we just have to be careful about how much and what we're taking. So in terms of even the water samples that we're taking, there's a certain number of samples that we can take per dive and per site. And that permit comes through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we've been working with them to make sure that we've got a permit that allows us to take samples that will enable us to get a nice representative view of this area. So we're allowed 5 rock samples, 6 water samples, and 5 of each species that we come across. No more than 5 of each species that we come across on any single dive during this leg, and also later leg when we're heading back north when we're at Baker and Howland Islands.
And so that's permits per dive. We're allowed to take multiple rocks?
That's right.
I thought I had heard before that it was 5 total, and I was like, how are they going to decide?
No, it's because all of our dives, each of our dives that we have planned for this cruise, we're going to be at 5 distinct sites.
Cool.
And so each one of those dives will be allowed to take 5 rock samples.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
You want to go zoom in on that crazy coral?
Yeah.
That's some interesting colorization too of the rock over here.
What's that?
I don't know what that is.
And if you take a look at quad view, our video engineer, Steven, actually just threw up the sonar view so you can kind of see some
Zoom
more
in there.
detailing of that cliff face, because we're in a really interesting area right now. Some cool geology, and now we're getting more dense biology.
So this is a bamboo coral.
Argus is a little ways back. You want me to let it swing or just keep coming ahead?
It's okay like that for now.
Okay.
Mike, are you feeling anything as far as currents?
Yeah, there's a bit in here, but I
Yeah.
think it just really changes just based on the features, like little
Sure.
eddies and stuff.
Yeah, just kind of ripping around the features.
Yeah.
Bridge nav. Another step, please.
Okay, come wide, please. Oh yeah, it steps right in here. Maybe we will need to step in.
Next step, I could just do like 10 meters closer in, or
Yeah, if we're gonna come closer in, just do 10 until we see where it lays out.
roger that.
But it might be okay actually. It comes back out a bit here.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. I can always come in at an angle too, so we can keep moving in the direction.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a lot of crinoids on this cliff.
It's like a good place to grab some food.
Yeah. And again, the crinoids and corals and things that are coming off these cliff faces, the reason these areas are good for them is because the little particles that you see moving across the screen right now is what we refer to as marine snow. And it is not snowflakes, it is debris from the upper levels of the water that have fallen down and now are becoming yummy, yummy food for all of these invertebrates hanging out at the bottom.
Oh, that's a pretty one.
You want to get a zoom on that one?
If we have time, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're good. Go ahead, video.
It's quite thick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of the larger yellow ones that we've seen.
Does it have something like popping out of it to the side there? Kind of
Yeah.
more to the right?
Well, looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Or like a rock that got caught in it or something.
Or something eating it, maybe?
I'm wondering if like a little rock fell in it, got caught on the
Yeah.
fan, and then started to get kind of incorporated. But I don't know.
Yeah, Chris, on the next move, just change the ship heading. Just bring Argus in a bit closer. Like, don't move
You good on
directly
the
in.
zoom?
Just kind of
That's good for the zoom.
slide
Coming
in.
wide.
Roger that. Just for the step, you mean, or do you want me to actually change ship setting?
Okay, yeah, you can do. If you want to do a single step in 10 meters, you can do that, and then you can keep your same heading.
Roger
I mean, you
that.
can do one move at a slightly eastern heading and bring it closer, and then go back on your old one.
Gotcha. Come in 10 meters, 310.
Yeah, sure.
Bridge nav. Request 10 meter step, bearing 310.
Start coming up a bit. Do a zoom there.
Yeah, go for it.
It looks like it has an arm branching off another arm,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is very interesting.
I was just about to ask if that was weird or not.
Yeah,
Sort
maybe
of
it
thing.
had a injury there and it branched off, formed 2 new bits from wherever the injury was. I'm not sure.
Is that close enough for you guys, or you want to move
That's
closer?
Oh, yeah, we
that's
can move.
good. Thank you. Yep.
You mean the ship?
Yeah,
Yeah, bring him in another 10.
roger that. Bridge now.
Alright, wide on the video.
One more step, please.
Cool sponge.
Hey, Sponge.
Looks like there's a shrimp inside at the top.
It's a pretty nice little apartment.
Yeah.
Zoom in there.
Oh, nice. It's beautiful. And again, what we're looking at right now is an animal. It's a sponge, another colonial animal that builds these structures and filter feeds in these areas. And things like to live in it. It's pretty good shelter. A lot of the designs of these sponges have a good capture of the water, which also helps other things that like hanging out inside catch debris and food. Who's chuckling?
Nobody.
I don't believe you.
Coming a little wider.
Sure.
Kevin's giving Steve a hard time on the science chat for not sleeping. He can't pull himself away from it.
Steve, we need you for all the dives, so.
Alright, we can come wide.
Clear for gauge checks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oops.
I'll believe
Craft
that
check.
Steve goes to bed when we stop seeing him pop up in the feed.
Is that about good for distance for you?
Yeah, that's better, yeah.
All right,
Thanks.
I'm going to start coming north again.
Roger.
Bridge nav. Request 20 meter step, bearing 000.
Thank you.
If you're tuning in on Nautilus Live and wondering where we are just southwest of Kingman Reef. We're going along a ridge. We're moving from deeper depths up along the ridge, which is why we're starting to see a bit more density of these animals, like the corals and the sponges and the crinoids, all filter feeders grabbing at that marine snow. But yeah, we're just off of Kingman Reef, which is a part of the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument, which is managed by U.S. Fisheries and Wildlife. In this area, the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument actually covers about 400,000 square miles of different separate areas in the Pacific Ocean. So Kingman Reef that we're looking at right now, Palmyra Atoll, which we're going to be visiting later on this cruise, as well as Jarvis Island. And later in this season, another cruise is also going to be visiting Howland, Johnston, and Baker, which are also part of the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument.
Very appropriately named.
Yes. Took a while to get here. Oh, we've got people that say they've been tuned in since we first hit bottom.
Wow.
Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you also get the proper amount of sleep you need as a human, but we do appreciate you joining us. And a reminder that now, this year, you can actually rewind back 12 hours onto the feed, and then in a couple days, these full dives will be uploaded to YouTube. So even if you need to get some sleep, we promise that you can still see what we saw.
That's the difference between Nautilus Live and Netflix. We'll remind you to sleep.
I got you.
Yeah, Chris, after this move, can we push into the wall another little bit?
Sure.
Someday we'll get to the skip the intro where we miss the blue water, right?
Yeah. Is that an option on the YouTube dives?
What was that?
No.
Skip the intro, where you start on the bottom.
Hey, we can see some stuff in the midwater too. I saw some squids.
Yes. Lots of activity in the midwater.
We love the
Yeah,
Ridge
hold
midwater.
off on that, Chris. We're coming closer to it anyway.
Stand by.
Just do your regular move for now.
Roger that.
Kind of cropping out a bit.
Bridge now. One more step, please.
Little skinny fish.
Skinny fish.
Where's the fish?
Where?
Right in the middle. Purple. Oh, it's off the screen now.
You got a
I missed
good
it.
eye, Kevin, because I did not see anything. Oh. It's a wiggly thing.
Some massive blocks over here. You ever wondered what a volcano looks like if you cut half of it off?
Yeah.
Would this be like a half down the middle? Or
No,
like
not exactly in the middle.
kind
It's
of
more
a-
like 3/4 towards the edge.
Gotcha.
So we're not getting the good, like, intrusive rocks.
Well, there are some nice slices along here.
Yeah. That's amazing. Just like clean
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
there.
And again, we are in a Marine National Monument, which means we do have particular permits to be out here and collections that Allison was mentioning earlier in terms of the amount of rocks and samples that we can take, water samples that we can take per dive. So it's a balance between not taking too much from the area and also allowing us to get the stuff that we need to, you know, assess these areas ashore.
That is a long call.
Wow. Yeah.
Does it end?
As a reminder, the distance
You can
between
see
those
it
two
in
laser
Argus
points is
cam.
10 centimeters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those two green dots in the middle of the screen help us get scale down here in the deep sea.
Alright, we're changing our heading a little bit. Ship's heading to 150 to try to level out these swells a little bit.
Roger.
Has Steve said whether or not we know how quickly those grow?
Oh, I have no.
I think he said a few millimeters, max a few centimeters per year. So one that long is probably several hundred years old.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool one.
Oh yeah.
Bridge now.
There's sponge.
One more step, please.
Zoom in there.
Coming in.
And so the structures that make up the sponge itself, the spicules, that stalk is actually a modified spicule. That's one thick spicule connecting it to the seafloor, from what I remember from my sponge courses.
Didn't actually know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's called the holdfast. And the other glass sponges have all those different kind of threads, but this one they've modified for all those threads to sort of clump together into one big strand.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, seems to work.
Okay, wide, please.
See a little pink or red thing in the top there. Now Kevin, we kind of went from more larger pieces to this sort of area that seems a bit more broken up. What can that tell us about the difference in this area? Is this something that's sort of had like a landslide or a rock slide?
Yeah, it could have been a rock
situation?
slide. Before it looked like really thick lava flows likely. This might be more pillow basalts or more pillow basalts above it, which are easier.
You still see some of the columnar jointing though, and
Yeah.
some of the features. So that would have been a really thick, slow cooling flow.
Yeah, if you can grab any of these rocks, that'd be great. But I don't see anything that seems grabbable. Maybe
Yeah,
one
there's
of
stuff
these
to the
guys.
left.
In here that might.
Those are all pretty
or,
giant.
Yeah, that's the thing. They seem, if you can fit it.
There's a little guy in there, right where the lasers are now.
Yeah, if you can grab it. It's a nice flow. Take my chances as the last rock.
Looks like it might be a loose one.
We've got about 65 meters till we're directly downslope of waypoint 4.
Might be a bit big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
Can we keep the mesocam in view when we're getting this
Yep.
close? Thanks.
Bridge now. One more step, please.
If you can't get it, you can't get it.
Nah,
That's fine.
that's not gonna work very well.
Okay. You still got plenty of cliff to go.
What does the mesocam do? And why do we have it?
There's a GoPro in that housing set for 5-second intervals to take still images. And we have it just to get some nice beauty shots.
Cool.
Yeah, it's battery powered, so it's probably not running at this point because
We've been down here.
well, we had to turn it on at the surface, so
Okay.
not only is it a little bit on the surface, it's the full descent.
Yeah.
So there's the GoPro itself. There's a extra battery pack on the camera, and then there's an extra battery pack in the housing. Oh, that's kind of a cool
Yeah,
cave.
that is
Yeah.
cool.
Or a lava tube, almost feature. That's cool.
We spent 2 weeks last year looking for caves on one expedition. This would have been very exciting right here.
Yeah.
A little
gotta-
far from those borderlands right now.
Yeah, this It's about as close as we want Argus to be to the wall.
Alright, then I'm going to take my next step slightly northeast, just the way the contours go.
Yeah, sure. We can come up. 'Cause
Ooh,
we should
another
be going
cool.
over there, right?
Yeah, we were going to come around here and go up, but
Right.
at any point here I can just come across.
Yeah. Yeah, do it up. Sounds good.
Those are interesting features. It must just be like where the eruption subsided into the.
Yeah. Just kind of
I've seen a few of those sort of openings. We've got some folks wondering how long we've got left in this dive. Do we know how much longer we're going to be on bottom?
We have an estimate, which is the best we can always give out
Yes,
here.
yes.
We're going to aim to have the vehicles back on the ship at 4 a.m. local time.
Got it.
Which is Hawaii Standard Time local.
Cool.
So that means we'll start coming off the bottom probably a couple hours before that.
Very nice.
And then we're only about 5 or so hours to our next dive site.
Oh
So
wow,
we're-
this is a cool shot. Zoom in there.
Coming in. I'll pause here for a second. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Come in a little tighter here.
Yeah, sure.
And that's full zoom.
Very cool.
All right.
Coming wide.
Shout out to our international viewing audience right now. We've got friends in the US. We've also got friends in Canada, the UK, New Zealand, Japan, Italy, Germany, Australia. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. And remember, you can send your questions in to that little box
Can
below
we
the video.
check out these little rock piles if possible, or is it coming up too fast?
No, we can check. We can stop anywhere.
Yeah, so see if any of these are accessible. Looks like a nice place to sample.
Is it all the same too?
I prefer the right, I
Right.
think. Although they're probably the same.
No, I should be able to get in there.
Awesome.
Full wide, please.
Full wide.
Any of those big boys.
Yeah.
Did you just call those rocks big boys, or is that what I wanted you to call them?
That's what I call 'em. Big, beautiful boys.
We've also got a viewer who's written in and says, I am 73 years old and I'd never thought I'd live long enough to see the details of the ocean bottom. I am totally mesmerized.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that we can share this with you.
Show me the arm.
Yes.
Oh, great.
After this step, do you guys want to keep coming north, or when
At
you
this point, we can kind of just go up the cliff.
start heading up?
'Cause,
Roger
yeah,
that.
I'm mostly down here because I want to try to get a good sample.
And before we pick it up, if we could get a zoom, that'd be great.
Right
Yeah,
above
right where the
the
laser is.
The one right above the laser?
Yeah.
Coming in.
All right.
It's a nice looking rock.
Yeah, I don't even think it has manganese. I can see the vesicles. I think I can. We'll see when we get it.
Okay, coming back out.
Yeah, you definitely can on this
On this side.
back end, yeah.
Yeah.
Possible to brighten Argus view. Thank you.
The full wide?
Full wide.
Roger.
Oh, yeah, that's a fabulous shot.
Jungle bubble. Yeah, it's confusing.
Great job.
Okay.
All right, so that we're going to want to put in the starboard bio box in the large aft compartment, which is F.
Roger. Can you show me the arm and the bubble?
Let me get the presets. Thank you.
Just get off the ledge here for a minute.
Oopsie.
Okay. Box out.
If you take a look at quad view, you can see our bio box coming out again. See that sample get deposited. Boom.
Sample tray in.
Thank you, thank you. Fabulous job.
Slowly.
I'm gonna watch that in another camera.
That was number 5, right?
Yep, that's number 5. Lucky number 5. So now we can start going up this cliff, and ideally the coral should increase
Okay, all set.
as we get shallower depths.
Alrighty.
Perfect.
Next bearing, 300. We got about 55 meters to go. Bridge nav. Request 20 meter step, bearing 300.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey.
We've got some folks interested in what kind of protocols are in place for preventing transmission of harmful or dangerous organisms or bacteria when we bring stuff to the surface?
That is a good question. 1 second while I write something.
Yeah. Jamie does a lot of writing while she's on watch because she is our data logger, which means every time we see something, Jamie's writing it down.
Okay, so we definitely want to be careful about that. We're in a remote area that doesn't get visited very frequently, so we don't want to spread stuff around. So we're going to be very careful about washing off the vehicles after each dive extra thoroughly to ensure that we don't spread anything from site to site. And let's see. The samples that we take off will each get their own little container, though that won't have the potential to recontaminate anything since we're removing them from the vehicle and not putting them back. And anything else, Allison?
I think that's pretty much it. Any small devices that we're putting in, we'll also take them off and give them a good cleanse.
Take the iris down on the Hercules a bit.
We'll just be making sure everything gets rinsed really thoroughly between each dive so that we don't cross-contaminate sites.
And that is something that gets done after dives normally, but we're going to be extra careful on these, correct?
That's right.
Exactly, because these are quite remote and rarely visited.
And we've also got people interested in what kind of rock sample processing is going to take place.
On board, we're going to saw them. We have a tile saw here, so we can cut them and just see what's inside them. And then when I get back to my lab, I'm going to crush them into little bits, sieve them. I'm going to magnetically separate parts out because I want different components depending on what I'm doing. And then I'll hand pick it under a microscope, and then I'll acid leach them. Then I'll hand pick it a second time. Then they'll get thrown into a nuclear reactor and irradiated.
Whoa.
Yeah. A little more careful than how I put it, but
you just toss them into the nuclear.
We do actually, when we retrieve them, because I've been in the reactor when they've done it, they have a giant fishing rod, and on the end of it's just like a magnet where they kind of pick up the file and then fish it out.
Cool.
Which is surprisingly non-sophisticated for a very sophisticated facility. But then I can analyze them in a mass spectrometer, and depending on the ratio of certain isotopes, I can determine what the age of this rock is.
Cool.
Let us come up further before you move the ship again, Chris.
Yeah, so for the ship side of that, as he said, we'll typically for rock samples, we'll just dry them. Sometimes we'll break a piece off. On this particular cruise, we're going to be using the rock saw to cut slices, and then we'll just air dry them before packing them up for shipping. And then he gets to do all the other fancy stuff back on shore.
And what did you mention? Acid leaching? Did I hear that correctly?
So basically on these rocks, since they're partially altered, sitting on the seafloor, certain minerals. Oh, look at that crab. I'll get a.
Can we get a zoom on that? If we're not moving too quick.
On it.
Stop the ship and.
No, don't stop the ship. Don't worry about it.
No, it's just for us, for our sake,
okay.
not for that. Stop her
now.
Back her off to these 10 meters.
That crab looks like it's one of the ones that's holding on to something.
Request 10 meter step bearing 090.
Anyway, so as certain minerals get recrystallized, and I don't want those to be analyzed because they're. Oh, hold on, crab break.
Probably do that twice.
He's a
It
mover.
looks like it's carrying an anemone on its back.
Yeah, it does.
Which they sometimes do for camouflage and protection, because anemones sting.
That's too close.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, it's sloping out like that.
Yeah. And I park my car like this, but I don't want to park Argus.
Kylie, you might want to point your camera down a little bit just so it's not sticking out of Argus.
My camera is down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Making me nervous too.
Okay.
We were zoomed in a little, so that's something.
Slightly.
One more step, please.
Yeah, that's all I got for down on camera.
That's good. It's coming back now.
That's dizzying.
Don't look at it.
Ooh.
Fish.
Looks like it might be a rat tail fish of some sort or a grenadier.
I don't like.
That's close.
Don't kiss. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Oh, Jesus.
This is the worst.
They're sliding the wrong way.
Up.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Up, 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 up.
Going.
We're going about.
Keep going a
I
little
am.
bit. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and add one more step to that.
Okay. Done
Oh, they
sweating.
slipped like. all that.
My
One more
watch
step, please.
measures my heart rate. Let me tell you what it is.
I think I just held my breath the whole time.
Usually it's cold in the van, but I'm quite hot now. Frag.
Yeah, Argus had a little bit of a swing that even when we started moving out, it swung back under us.
Okay, so I got a large delta. So
Yeah, you're fine. Let me come up.
Should be pulling the right way now.
You all right?
Yeah. It got close, but
It
then
was
we
just
had
ship
asked them to
movements.
back off, and then they went all the way over here. So probably let it get a bit too tight, definitely. But when I asked them to come back, then they started coming toward the wall. Yeah, that was super scary.
Our viewers at home were feeling it along with you, Kylie. They said they are awake now.
oh my goodness.
How are you guys feeling on distance now? You want more?
It's all right. Let me catch up here.
All right, there you are. Hey,
Yeah.
hey. Whew.
Yeah, and it was sloping back like that too. It was just a bad, perfect storm.
You just look up and it's like, oh goodness.
All right.
All right. Moving back towards waypoint 4 if everyone's all set.
Yep, we're up on the top now anyway. Fine.
Oh, yeah, I'm at the end
Bridge
of the
nav.
tether.
Request 20 meter step bearing 290. We seem to be solidly back on top. I'm going to switch back over to DVL.
Yep, go ahead.
And reset.
So are we on the top of this ridge again?
Yep, we're just about right at the top.
Cool. Starting to see more corals again.
Jamie, we're completely switched back over to DVL.
Got it, thank you.
Bridge nav. One more step, please. After this step, Argus will be just about right on top of waypoint 4.
Excellent. So this is the top of the little post-erosional volcano.
Yes, right on top.
Cool. Looks like some kind of lava flow capping it. It's hard to tell.
And then waypoint 5 is going down slope,
Yeah.
just about due north from here.
These
We can get a
guys.
zoom in of those little critters. Are they a
Which
sponge?
critters?
The one straight ahead that have the long stalks.
Yeah, these are. I'm working over to them. I'm just on the end of my leash here.
Okay.
They're pretty interesting looking.
Those are probably stock sponges, but we can confirm once vehicles get situated.
Does that look like another kind of glass sponge that was just went off screen to the left? That tube.
Is that all right for
Yeah,
Delta? But yeah,
Pretty.
I know.
I'll come back and you lift up a little bit.
Okay.
Bridge nav. One more step, please.
Looks like we've got people around the world waking up and tuning in to Nautilus Live, so thank you so much for joining us. We're in the midst of our first dive of this expedition to explore Kingman Reef, Palmyra Atoll, and Jarvis Island, all within the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument. We've been exploring a ridge southwest of Kingman Reef for this dive today. Come across lots of different kinds of biology, corals, sponges, crustaceans, crinoids, all that sort of stuff. And our geologists on board have picked up a few samples to hopefully get a better characterization of these areas and how old they are and how they formed. So again, thanks for joining, and you can feel free to send questions into that little box below the live feed. And to the right of the live feed box, or to the right of the question box rather, is a way that you can sign up for our newsletters, which will include live dive alerts and other opportunities to watch along with us this season. So you can sign up for that if you would like.
Zoom in there, video.
Coming in.
All right. Next step is going to be headed north towards waypoint 5.
Roger.
Bridge nav. Request 20 meter step, bearing 000.
Okay, come wide there. Sorry, Chris, what's the bearing?
000.
Still, same.
And do you guys want to go directly to waypoint 5, or as we come back down, go over the edge a little bit like we did coming up?
Well, in terms of going down slope, we want to do a gradual slope so we can keep our eyes on the bottom as much as possible.
Roger that.
Yeah, we can't really go down steep slope and see bottom.
Do you want me to pay out on my delta a little?
Yeah, you can keep it about
18?
20 or 8 on your altitude is what's catching you right now, right? I'm down ahead of you.
Okay.
But yeah, you can come down a bit.
Okay.
And for those at home wondering about analogs between deep sea research and space exploration, an earlier expedition in this expedition season, the one on Gorda Ridge, was actually in conjunction with NASA's SUBSEA, which is the Systematic Underwater Biogeochemical Science and Exploration Analog Research Program. So pretty much exactly what you're asking about. So if you head to nautiluslive.org and check out the page that says the expedition and click on that landing page for Gorda Ridge, you'll be able to read in more detail exactly how that worked, see some highlights from that expedition, also take a look at the types of people that were on board from Nautilus and also from NASA's SUBSEA. So definitely take a look at that. There is a lot of analog between deep sea exploration and space exploration.
Alright, so straight line is going to take us over some steeper edges than we might want to go, so I'm going to come out towards the west just a little bit and go around, try to get that gradual slope you guys were talking about.
Yeah, looks good.
Sounds good.